Yeah. It's not because of, East. East from that way. Ah! Fuh! Fuh! Eventually you get there. No matter where you stand. Eventually you come back up and around. It's a big world. It's a big world. I like that. Hell no. What? That's a great song. My favorite song though is of his. Besides "Scenes from an Italian Restaurant," so that's one I love. Yeah, and but Vienna. I mean, that's just. Have you ever listened to his album with where he's doing where he's taking questions? It's a 4 CD album, and the fourth of the four of them is. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Everyone again. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. All right, so I'm turning my volume down and turning your volume up. All right, here we go. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Imagine Rick Recht is here. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Julie Sachs, who is here, and to Ava Loeb, who is here because Julie's here. Ava, you're welcome to come anytime when she's not here. You know that. I just want to make sure. So I just have to make sure that that's clear, you know. I also want to say welcome to Jonathan Goldstein, who is here from McKinney. He's here for the weekend for actually training for the Woods Project for Natalie. So Natalie and I both have him working, neither of which has anything to do with his day job. But Jonathan is here just to enjoy Shabbat as opposed to lead us. So thanks, Jonathan, for being here. And thank you all for being here. This is the last time we're going to be at the Murphish until September. So we are going to be at the First UU between now and the end of August. We'll be at First UU or online. So that will be our situation for the next few months. But I'm really glad to welcome you all here this evening or this afternoon or, you know, this after evening, noon. Anyway, let's continue on page 2, L'chuna Ranana. And by the way, does anybody know what L'chuna Ranana means? Well, it says the first 3 words in the... Let us sing! Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. L'chuna Ranana, ya la 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 la, la Adonai, ya la 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 la, Nari. sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena. Everybody, ya la 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 Adonai, ya la 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 Naria, ya la 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 Letzurishenu, ya la 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 la. For all of the wonders in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Make the mountains quake. Lechu neranena, ya la 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 Adonai, ya la 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 Naria, ya la 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 Letzurishenu, ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Creator of life and goodness and truth, today and every day grant me the courage to speak honestly and the humility to ask for help when I need it. It has been told you that what is good and what the Lord requires of you, only to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. May I never give in to temptation or waver in my commitment to soul reckoning. Who will ascend the mountain of the Lord, and who will stand in God's holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not sworn deceitfully, and who has not dedicated one's soul to vain things. And may I know the serenity that comes with purity of heart and integrity in all that I do. Light shines for the righteous and joy for the upright of heart. I'd like to invite Diane up to light the Shabbat candles. You can find the words on page 3. Amen.
May our hearts and souls be filled with light, and may the light that shines in each of us lead us there.
Shabbat Shalom. Lecha Dodi, page 4. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela la 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmiyanu el meyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad. L'shem multiferet v'liti la 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, Penei Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor abaracha merosh mi kedem nesucha. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Top of page 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי ברך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Now I want you to think about a malach asharit, a messenger from on high, who came to you this week, maybe in person, maybe over the phone or via text, maybe a complete stranger, maybe something you read in the paper or in social media. Maybe you hearkened to that message. Or maybe you shunned it, not appreciative of the source. Whatever it is, wherever it came from, if it feels now to you like it was a message that you needed to hear, or you need to hear, see if you can settle into receiving that message as we enter into Shabbat. Oi v'shalom ateret bala, tam b'simcha uv'tola, toch emunei am segula. Boicha la boicha la 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 lecha dodi, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, Adonai, I did not ask for miracles. I did not ask for success. I asked for wonder, and you gave it to me. Page 6. Baruch Hu. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. La 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 la, la 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 la. I've had the privilege of teaching a course that I know Marion is very familiar with, and some of you are familiar with because you've studied with me, that is called Ayeka. And Ayeka is a course that I've talked about before. Amy's studied with me. Um, um, uh, and Ayeka is a question. It's a question from Genesis, from when God asks Adam and Eve after they've eaten from the fruit of the tree that was forbidden. God asks Ayeka. Literally, what it means is, where are you? And it's not a geographical question. Of course, God knows where they are. God knows everything, right? It's a question for them to ask, for them to ponder. Where am I? Right? Where am I in relationship with my partner? Where am I in relationship with God? Where am I in relationship with the world? Right? And this becomes this question, ayeka. But what I love about the word ayeka is that what I love about Hebrew is that you can have consonants, and if you vocalize them differently, if you put different vowels in with the same consonants in the same order, you get a completely different word. So ayeka is Hebrew for where are you? And then if you change the vowels a little bit, you can get the word echa. Now, if you don't understand how the ka becomes a cha, then you need to study Hebrew. But we can talk about that later. But echa is a question. It's the grand question of how. That's the question. And it has resonance with the book of Lamentations, written by Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, who stands in the rubble of Jerusalem after it being destroyed. And he says, Echa Yashva Badad. How is it that this grand city, this grand space could be in rubble, could be destroyed? How is it? But what I love about this is you have this parallel of Ayeka, which is where are you? And then Echa is how. And I think that the response to Echa in the midst of sorrow and destruction and just brokenness is then to ask the question, because only in Judaism you just ask a question with another good question. So then it works very well, right? So the echa is how, ayeka is where are you? Meaning the question, the answer is not. I don't have an easy explanation for how we got to this point. But the question, the most important question is ayeka. Where are you? Meaning, where are you? What are you going to do about it from where you're standing, from where you are? And in the teaching of Ayeka, this course, there's a lot of teachings from Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, who was the first chief rabbi of Israel. And he teaches about the flow of love. He says this very sort of odd statement. He says, well, no one can deny the love that flows within us for every other human being. And of course, there are plenty of us who could say, yes, I could definitely deny the flow of love for every other human being. There are plenty of people for whom I have no flow of love, right? There's actually a lot of people. But what he's saying is that the flow of love is the divine energy that flows through the world. And that we are really part of this flow. And so if there's something that's getting in our way, it's because we're not figuring out how to shift, how to stand differently. And therefore, ayeka, where are you? Right? How are you standing in the face of this? Do you want to lose years of your life, days, hours, pining over how much you dislike this person? Or do you want to shift so that you can move forward in a different way? So let us sing about the flow of love. Page 8. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, bati otanu limateta al kain Adonai Eloheinu v'shokveinu uvkumeinu nasiya v'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. Let's stay in that soft space, breathing and focused, singing these words of unity. Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please chant with me on page 10. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. So, are there simchas to share? Debbie and David. Today is actually? What number? 27. So, got in dog years. That's actually very funny. I mean, I like that. I like that. So, right, exactly. Right. 27. So Kaf Zion. Kaf is 20, Zion is 7, therefore 27. And there's no Hebrew word. They're cause. But we celebrate you because we are so happy to celebrate with you. I love having watched you guys over the past few years, especially become grandparents. The joy, but who's counting, right? Right. Watching you guys grow into grandparenthood. It's been such a beautiful thing. And I pray that you have lots, thank God, with COVID, hopefully behind us, God willing, mostly, there's more and more trips. So we all offer a special blessing for you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. And many more happy returns. Shabbat shalom. Others? Yes, Jonathan. Ah, mazel tov. Oh, straight A's. Straight olives. Mazel tov, Jonathan. That's great. How much do you pay for a day? I tried that on my parents. They were like, yeah, okay. My dad's favorite line, which was, rather owe it to you than cheat you out of it. How many people had parents who said that? Anybody? No? Lenny did. Okay. See, because he's from California. So, no others? No. Okay. Well, then let's sing Micha Mocha. This is the Rick Wrecked Micha Mocha, which you'll find on the supplement. Micha Mocha Bailima Donai Mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh Nora tehilot Hosei Fele Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea, sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Please rise. The words for the beginning of Adonai Sefatai can be found in the supplement. And I just read this short introduction by Rabbi Neil Sandler called Before the Amidah. I need some help here, God. I need some help with sincerely and mindfully opening my mouth as I turn to you. Help me. You are blessed and you are holy. You are blessed and you are praised. You are blessed and you are faithful to the ones who praise your name. You are kind and you are healing. You are cleansing of my soul. You are loved and pure and gracious. You are real and make me whole. Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises, they'll show through your graces. Open up my lips, open up my lips. You are wise and you are sparing, you are merciful and clear. You are out of perfection, no more wrong directions. I'm loved and I am here. Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises, they'll show through your graces. Open up my lips, open up my lips. Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises, they'll show through your graces. Open up my lips, open up my lips, open up my lips. Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips for your praises, show through your graces. Open up my lips, open up my lips. Keep going with that. Open up my lips, open up my lips, open up my lips, open up my lips, open up my Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. תומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמנת על החיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please be seated. At this time, we call to mind and to heart those who are in need of healing and wholeness. We're going to be singing a different version of Misha Berach this evening. It's a Misha Berach that's by Craig Taubman. And we'll sing it twice through, so if you don't get it the first time, if you don't already know it, then you'll get it. But in the meantime, if you would like to stand where you are seated, if you would like to mention the names of people you are thinking of who are in need of healing, I'll invite you to mention their names, and then once you've done so, I invite you to be seated once again. Words can be found in the supplement. Mi shebeirach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Uyivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Uyivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Elna Refanala Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Uyivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim Every once in a while, I like to remind us all that, not that you think this, but, you know, neither Julie or I wrote any of this music. Julie's actually written some music, but this music comes to us because there are these incredible Jewish composers around the country, around the world, who have sat down and written this glorious Jewish music. And it started significantly. It started with Debbie Friedman, the modern age of Jewish music. But today there are, I don't know, there's at least hundreds and hundreds of like Jewish songwriters who are writing for our liturgy. I didn't intend this to be an ad, but I'm gonna make it an ad, which is frequent their websites, download their music, go online and look for music from Craig Taubman or Dan Nichols or Julie Silver or Abby Strauss or Lucy Greenbaum or so many, or Maddie Goldstein, because they're not in it for the money. Maybe they're making a living, but there's no major stardom on the level of, Billy Joel. Anyway, keep that in mind. What? Chef of Gold, another great one. Absolutely. There's so many. So I'm not speaking of that, but anyway, announcements. I am going to Israel in November. And I am going to be going with the Jewish Federation of Greater Houston's mission trip. I mean, I'm going, hopefully with some of you, our community. It's November 7th through 13th. You travel on the 6th, you come back on the 14th. It's a quick trip. But it's really, they're going to have different tracks that you can choose from. They're going to have like a cooking track. They're going to have a, what's that? Oh, no. They're going to have like a history, like nerdy trip. They're gonna have they're gonna have like different tracks, and this is just a great opportunity to travel to Israel. I'm super excited about it, and there's a meeting next Thursday, this coming Thursday evening, at the Federation, at the new Federation building, 7 o'clock. Come, even if you're not sure, come and learn about it. I'd love to have you all along. Journey registration is open, and we have a special discount by May 25th. And then Shabbat services, as I said, are going to be next Friday. So just to give you a heads up, next Friday, as I said for First UU, we're not having Shabbat services on June 3rd, but then we will regularly for the rest of June. And then you'll see we'll either be online or in person through the summer. So anyway, check it out online. So, in the Talmud, there's a story. I'm getting used to my new reading glasses. They're good for here, but not for there. And so, anyway, and I don't think I can do the bifocals thing. So I'm just figuring it out. But anyway, in the Talmud, there's a question. It's a thought experiment. The thought experiment. The rabbis don't call it a thought experiment. That's what it is. The thought experiment is this: if there happen to have been two individuals who are stranded in the desert, and they've gone through almost all their provisions, and it's just the two of them. And they know, like this is if you know math, like here's the given. You can't break out of this. You can't say, well, what if this or what if that? Here's the given. The given is one of them has a bottle of water on him. And it has enough water for one person to be able to survive and make it back to the next spot, next oasis, next spot where they could then get more provisions. But if they divided it up, if they shared it, then assuredly both would die. And they present this thought experiment of, all right, so what is the moral thing to do? What is the right thing to do? And so one rabbi, Ben Petura, he establishes that they should indeed share it, for no one should have to watch his fellow suffer. But then Rabbi Akiva comes along, and he quotes from Leviticus, a text from Leviticus 25:36, in which is, Al tikach me'ito neshech v'tarbit v'yirata me'elohecha v'chai achecha imach. Do not take from him, your fellow, biting interest or profit, but hold your God in awe, so that your brother, your fellow, may live beside you. Hold your God in awe. Be fearful of God, be awe-inspired of God, so that your brother may live beside you. Don't exact biting interest from another. So this text, which I don't want to spend too much time on how this text means this, but this text is understood to be the proof text for tzedakah. So tzedakah, as we know, is translated badly as charity, but basically it's obligated. The way I like to define it as obligated stewarding or stewardship. Right? We've been given gifts, and it's our responsibility to make sure others have as well. And the notion here, and I'll get back to the story in a second, the notion here is it is our responsibility to give to someone who is in need, but there's a caveat. only as much and as long as it doesn't impoverish us. So we are not to give so much to someone else that we become impoverished, because there's a broad view from the rabbis of, well, what's good for society? One person in need or two people in need? Well, one person. So this is where, and so this is why Rabbi Akiva says the one who actually owns that bottle of water, he must keep it to himself, because to give it away to the other would be to impoverish himself. I share this with you tonight because I want to give you a taste of the dynamic way in which the rabbis understood Torah. Because I woke up this morning and the first article I read said that the state of Oklahoma has decided that conception is now the baseline for the time at which abortion is no longer allowed. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise, right? We were at 24 weeks with Roe v. Wade. That's the recognition of viability, fetal viability. And then the case before the Supreme Court that we're waiting on a decision on, although we pretty much know what it is 15 weeks, right? The Dobbs decision. But of course, Texas came in early and said, no, it should be 6 weeks. And now Oklahoma, it's like the ever diminishing returns. Oklahoma has said, basically, there's no abortion allowed, period. And the trouble, so there was this leaked memo, as we all know, leaked decision, or leaked draft of a decision, in which Justice Alito lays out for us, what most constitutional scholars have agreed upon, which is, unfortunately, Roe v. Wade was decided badly. It was a clumsy, bad decision, according to both the right and the left. Justice Ginsburg spoke against the process by which Roe v. Wade was arrived at. But there seemed always to be a bigger purpose, a greater goal, right? And that was really, ultimately, ironically, to save lives. Leave that for a moment. And the worry, particularly on the left right now, is that, even a deeper long-term worry was Judge Alito being disingenuous when he said that the other privacies, the other rights that have been secured through the recognition of privacy being a constitutional right, such as access to contraception, ability to marry someone who is not your quote-unquote race, and other rights that have been determined through the idea of privacy as a constitutional right. Because the trouble is, privacy is not in the Constitution. So that's already been derived. And then from that, other rights have been recognized. But I'm not worried. That's not my greatest worry. It's a worry. My greatest worry is that this decision is based 100% on theology. This is the problem with the abortion debate. Judaism is very clear, very, very clear. I probably should have given you a heads up that I was speaking about. Sorry. She's okay? She probably didn't understand most of what I was talking about. Yeah, Tempest. Yeah, she's good. She didn't say, okay, good. I should have said, this is PG-13. Judaism is very clear about abortion. Number one, abortion, according to Judaism, should be safe, legal, and rare. Right? President Clinton stole it from the Talmud. He was studying the Talmud, and it should be safe, legal, and rare. That is Judaism's perspective. But it's also very clear in Judaism, in no uncertain terms, that abortion is not murder. And that's the crux, that's the problem with this issue, is that the Supreme Court and state courts and state legislatures are making legal decisions based upon theology. Because no one can determine when life begins. That's not possible. You could even say in conception. Well, what exactly? Is it when it's a zygote? Or when it's a blastoma? Or it's a zygote? At what point is it really a life? Well, we know it doesn't matter. For certain forces of people, it doesn't matter. But I'm presenting this to you tonight because as Jews, we need to know our texts better than we do. We need to be able to talk to our neighbors, not about late-term abortions. There are 6,000 late-term abortions in the United States every year, which is less than 1% of all abortions that take place in the United States every year. And they are a tragedy for families. The vast majority of people but yet we get caught up. That becomes the issue. But to be completely honest, the Talmud says? The Talmud says that if there is a fetus that is being born and causing tremendous danger to the life and health of the mother, this is the part I'm glad she's not in here for. You must save the mother, even if it means dismembering, so that you can remove the danger from the mother's body. But this is taught with no lack of compassion, no lack of recognition that this is a horror. This is the worst possible thing one could imagine. The only thing worse would be allowing the mother to die. And that is what is at the crux of this conversation, which really is about, as we know, women's health. It's about access. It's about support. It's about so many other things. But I think the one thing I want to make sure we all understand. Oh, so I'm coming full circle. So where does the understanding that abortion is not murder come from in the Torah? It comes from this random story. This bit from Exodus, Leviticus, that says, if two men are fighting and there's a pregnant woman nearby and she gets knocked over in the fight. By the way, I had a professor in HUC in school who would always teach. He said, remember, if the Torah is talking about it, it's because it was happening. The Torah isn't making up imagined things that have never happened, right? This clearly happened. So if two men are fighting and the struggle, the wrestling leads the woman to be knocked over, if she loses the pregnancy, then she or her husband is entitled to monetary compensation. But only if she dies is it life for life. And this is where the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, etc. comes from. So the Torah, and I know it sounds like a strange story. Like if the Torah meant to talk about abortion, why didn't it just say, well, it's a very old text, right? And so we've had to interpret lots of things, such as what would happen if two people were walking in the desert and they only had one bottle of water between the two of them. How do you determine? Right? This is they draw this from that understanding of the text about tzedakah. Judaism, I believe, is an intuitive tradition. Judaism understands the idea that while the embryo, the fetus, it's a life. There's life there. You can't deny there's no life there. But there is a decision. It has to be made. If and when that decision has to be made, how do you make it? How do you determine it? And what matters more than anything else is that it's not murder. But yet, we are now living in a time when theology is being legislated. And that's the piece that I want you all to be aware of. You've heard all sorts of things about worrying about this and worrying about that. There's all sorts of things. This is something to worry about. This is something to fight against. This is something to take seriously. Because the slippery slope isn't about the convoluted notion of privacy in the Constitution. The slippery slope is being at a point at which theology can be legislated and decided upon. And we, as a minority, will lose in a world like that. And I hope that you hear me loudly, because in probably 9 years, I don't think you've ever heard me say something as drastic as this. But this is a crucial moment at which time your legislators should be hearing from you. Make your voice known. Make it loud. If you're deciding of where to give, this should be a determining factor of who to support. Not just because of abortion, because we do not want to live in a world in which we are suffering legislation that is based only on theology. And make no mistake, that is what is driving, that is the core. It's really politics that's driving it. But that is what the core is that it's being based upon. Funny to say Shabbat Shalom, but Shabbat Shalom. Please rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש Baruch Hu. Please be seated. V'nemar v'yadonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom mahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. At this time, we call to mind those who are no longer with us, who have left this world, but whose memory is deep upon us, who have passed away at this time or in years past. I invite you to rise where you are seated, to mention names of people whom you are remembering. Once you've mentioned their names, I invite you to please remain standing. we rise with you and together offer Kaddish, page 26. Itkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiritei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalah v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushpechata v'nechemata, Amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace upon us, upon all Israel and all the world. And let us say amen. Our concluding song is on the supplement sheet. It's a song called Sweet as Honey. And it is all just about Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav v'tzivanu La'asok b'divrei Torah La'asok b'divrei Torah, sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. One more time with sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. One more time. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. I invite you into the foyer for Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you. Thank you, Julie Sachs.